Section 15 of John G. Paton, Missionary to the New Hebrides, an Autobiography, First Part, by John Paton. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 10, Farewell Scenes, Part 1. A time of great excitement amongst the natives now prevailed. War, nothing but war spoken of. Preparations for war were being made in all the villages far and near. Fear sat on every face, and armed bands kept watching each other, as if uncertain where the war was to begin or by whom. All work was suspended, and that war spirit was let loose which rouses the worst passions of human nature. Again we found ourselves the center of conflict, one party set for killing us or driving us away, the other wishing to retain us, while all old bitter grievances were also dragged into their speeches. Miakia said, "If you will keep Missy and his worship, take him with you to your own land, for we will not have him to live at the harbor." Ian, the great inland chief, rose in wrath and said, "On whose land does the Missy live, yours or ours? Who fight against the worship and all good? Who are the thieves and murderers? Who tell the lies, you or we? We wish peace, but you will have war. We like Missy and the worship, but you hate them and say, 'Take him to your own land. It is our land on which he now lives. It is his own land which he bought from you, but which our fathers sold Missy Turner long ago. The land was not yours to sell, it was really ours. Your fathers stole it from us long ago by war, but we would not have asked it back had you not asked us to take Missy away. Now we will defend him on it, and he will teach us and our people in our own land.' So meeting after meeting broke into fiery speech, and separated with many threats. To the next meeting I was invited, but did not go, contenting myself with a message pleading that they should live at peace and on no account go to war with each other. But Ian himself came for me. I said, 'Ian, I have told you my whole heart. Go not to that meeting. I will rather leave the island or die than see you going to war about me.' He answered, 'Missy, come with me, come now.' I replied, 'Ian, you are surely not taking me away to kill me? If you are, my God will punish it.' His only reply was, 'Follow me quickly.' I felt constrained to go. He strode on before me till we reached the great village of his ancestors. His followers, armed largely with muskets as well as native weapons, filled one half the village square, or dancing ground. Miyaki, Nouka, and their whole party sat in manifest terror upon the other half. Marching into the center, he stood with me by his side, and proudly looking round, exclaimed, 'Missy, these are my men and your friends. We are met to defend you and the worship.' Then, pointing across to the other side, he cried aloud, 'These are your enemies and ours, the enemies of the worship, the disturbers of the peace on Tana. Missy, say the word, and the muskets of my men will sweep all opposition away, and the worship will spread, and we will all be strong for it on Tana. We will not shoot without your leave, but if you refuse they will kill you and persecute us and our children, and banish Jehovah's worship from our land.' I said, 'I love all of you alike. I am here to teach you how to turn away from all wickedness, to worship and serve Jehovah, and to live in peace. How can I approve of any person being killed for me or for the worship? My God would be angry at me and punish me if I did.' He replied, 'Then, Missy, you will be murdered and the worship destroyed.' I then stood forth in the middle before them all and cried, 'You may shoot me or murder me, but I am your best friend. I am not afraid to die. You will only send me the sooner to my Jehovah God, whom I love and serve, and to my dear Savior Jesus Christ, who died for me and for you, and who sent me here to tell you all his love. If you will only love and serve him and give up your bad conduct, you will be happy. But if you kill me, his messenger, rest assured that he will in his own time and way punish you. This is my word to you all. My love to you all.' So saying, I turned to leave, and Ian strode sullenly away and stood at the head of his men, crying, 'Missy, they will kill you. They will kill us, and you will be to blame.' Miyaki and Nouka, full of deceit, now cried out, 'Missy's word is good. Let us all obey it. Let us all worship.' An old man, Sirawiya, one of Ian's under-chiefs, then said, 'Miyaki and Nouka say that the land on which Missy lives was theirs. Though they sold it to him and he has paid them for it, they all know that it was ours, and is yet ours by right. But if they let Missy live on it in peace, we will all live at peace and worship Jehovah, and if not, we will surely claim it again.' Miyaki and his party hereon went off to their plantations and brought a large present of food to Ian and his men as a peace offering. This they accepted, and the next day Ian and his men brought Miyaki a return present and said, 'You know that Missy lives on our land? Take our present, be friends, and let him live quietly and teach us all. Yesterday you said his word was good. Obey it now, else we will punish you and defend the Missy.' Miyaki accepted the token and gave good promises for the future. Ian then came to the hilltop near our house, by which passed the public path, and cried aloud in the hearing of all, Abraham, tell Missy that you and he now live on our land. This path is the march betwixt Miyaki and us. We have this day bought back the land of our fathers by a great price to prevent war. Take of our breadfruits and also of our coconuts what you require, for you are our friends and living on our land, and we will protect you and the worship." For some time things moved on quietly after this. An inland war, however, had continued for months. As many as 10 men, they said, were sometimes killed in one day and feasted on by the warriors. Thousands had been thereby forced down from the mountains and sought protection under Ian and his people. All the people claiming connection with his tribe were called Naraimini. The people in the volcano district were called the Kaserumini, and the harbor tribes were the Watarenmini, and so on all over the island. In such divisions there might be from 2 to 20 chiefs and villages under one leader, and these stood by each other for purposes defensive and offensive. Now Nouka and Miyaki had been frustrated in all their plans to get the inland and the harbor people involved in the war, as their own followers were opposed to it. In violation of his promises, however, Nouka invited all the men who wished to go to the war to meet him one morning, and only one appeared. Nouka, in great wrath, marched off to the war himself, but, as no one followed, he grew faint-hearted and returned to his own village. On another morning Miyaki summoned all his fighting men, but only his own brother and 6 lads could be induced to accompany him, and with these he started off. But the enemy, hearing of his coming, had killed 2 of his principal allies the night before, and Miyaki, learning this, turned and fled to his own house and was secretly laughed at by his tribe. Next day Nouka came to me professing great friendship and pleading with me to accompany him and Miyaki to talk with the Kaserumini, and persuade them to give up the war. He was annoyed and disappointed when I refused to go. No war, and others informed me 2 days thereafter that 3 persons had died in that district, that others were sick, and that the heathen there had resolved to kill me in revenge as a cause of all. As Nouka's wife was one of the victims, this scheme was concocted to entrap me. I was warned on no account to leave my house at night for a considerable time, but to keep it locked up and to let no one in after dark. The same 2 men from that district who had tried to kill Mr. Johnston and me were again appointed and were watching for Abraham and me, lurking about in the evenings for that purpose. Again I saw how the Lord had preserved me from Miyaki and Nouka. Truly all are safe who are in God's keeping, and nothing can befall them, except for their real good and the glory of their Lord. Chafed at the upsetting of their plans and full of revenge, Nouka and Miyaki and their allies declared publicly that they were now going to kill Ian by sorcery, i.e. by Nahak, more feared by the Portanese in the field of battle. Nothing but the grace of God and the enlightenment of his Spirit through the Scriptures has ever raised these natives above that paralyzing superstition. But thank God there are now, while I write this, 1887, about 12,000 in the New Hebrides who have been thus enlightened and lifted out of their terrors, for the gospel is still, as of old, the power of God unto salvation. Strange to say, Ian became sick shortly after the sacred men had made the declaration about their Nahak sorcery. I attended him, and for a time he recovered, and appeared very grateful, but he soon fell sick again. I sent him and the chief next under him a blanket each. I also gave shirts and calico to a number of his leading men. They wore them and seemed grateful and pleased. Ian, however, gradually sank and got worse. He had every symptom of being poisoned, a thing easily accomplished, as they know and use many deadly poisons. His sufferings were very great, which prevented me from ascribing his collapse to mere superstitious terror. I did all that could be done, but all thought him dying, and of course by sorcery. His people were angry at me for not consenting before to their shooting of Miyaki, and Miyaki's people were now rejoicing that Ian was being killed by Nahak. One night his brother and a party came for me to go and see Ian, but I declined to go till the morning for fear of the fever and ague. On reaching his village I saw many people about and feared that I had been led into a snare, but I at once entered into his house to talk and pray with him as he appeared to be dying. After prayer I discovered that I was left alone with him, and that all the people had retired from the village, and I knew that, according to their custom, this meant mischief. Ian said, "Come near me and sit by my bedside to talk with me, missy." I did so, and while speaking to him he lay as if lost in a swoon of silent meditation. Suddenly he drew from the sugar-cane leaf thatch close to his bed a large butcher-like knife, and instantly feeling the edge of it with his other hand, he pointed it to within a few inches of my heart and held it quivering there, all a-tremble with excitement. I durst neither move nor speak, except that my heart kept praying to the Lord to spare me, or if my time was come to take me home to glory with himself. There passed a few moments of awful suspense. My sight went and came. Not a word had been spoken except to Jesus, and then Ian wheeled the knife around, thrust it into the sugar-cane leaf, and cried to me, "Go quickly." Next moment I was on the road. Not a living soul was to be seen about the village. I understood then that it had been agreed that Ian was to kill me, and that they had all withdrawn so as not to witness it, so that when the man of war came to inquire about me, Ian would be dead, and no punishment could overtake the murderer. I walked quietly till quite free of the village, lest some hid in their houses might observe me. Thereafter, fearing that they, finding I had escaped, might overtake and murder me, I ran for my life a weary 4 miles till I reached the mission house, faint, yet praising God for such a deliverance. Poor Ian died soon after, and his people strangled one of his wives and hanged another, and took out the 3 bodies together in a canoe and sank them in the sea. Miyaki was jubilant over having killed his enemy by Nahawk, but the inland people now assembled in thousands to help Sidawia, and his brother to avenge that death on Miyaki Nouka and Kadewik. These, on the other hand, boasted that they would kill all their enemies by Nahawk's sorcery, and would call up a hurricane to destroy their houses, fruit trees, and plantations. Miyaki and a number of his men also came to the mission house, but, observing his sullen countenance, I asked kindly after his wife, who was about to be confined, and gave a blanket, a piece of calico, and a bit of soap as a present for the baby. He seemed greatly pleased, whispered something to his men, and peaceably withdrew. Immediately after Miyaki's threat about bringing a storm, one of their great hurricanes actually smote that side of the island and laid everything waste. His enemies were greatly enraged, and many of the injured people united with them in demanding revenge on Miyaki. Hitherto I had done everything in my power to prevent war, but now it seemed inevitable, and both parties sent word that if Abraham and I kept to the mission house, no one would harm us. We had little faith in any of these promises, but there was no alternative for us. On the following Saturday, 18th January, 1862, the war began. Musket after musket was discharged quite near us, and the bush all round rang with the yell of their war cry, which if once heard will never be forgotten. It came nearer and nearer, for Miyaki fled and his people took shelter behind and around our house. We were placed in the heart of danger, and the balls flew thick all around us. In the afternoon, Ian's brother and his party retired, and Miyaki quickly sent messengers and presents to the Inikahimini and Kaserumini districts to assemble all their people and help him to fight Missy and the Tannese, who were friends of the worship. He said, "Let us cook his body and Abraham's and distribute them to every village on this side of the island." Yet all the while Miyaki assured me that he had sent a friendly message. The war went on, and poor Nowar the chief protected us, till he had a spear broken into his right knee. The enemy would have carried him off to feast on his body, but his young men, shouting wildly his name and battle cry, rushed in with great impetuosity, and carried their wounded chief home in triumph. The inland people now discharged muskets at my house and beat against the walls with their clubs. They smashed in the door and window of our storeroom, broke open boxes and casks, tore my books to pieces and scattered them about, and carried off everything for which they cared, including my boat, mast, oars, and sails. They broke into Abraham's house and plundered it, after which they made a rush at the bedroom into which we were locked, firing muskets, yelling, and trying to break it in. A chief, professing to be sorry for us, called me to the window, but on seeing me he sent a tomahawk through it, crying, "Come on, let us kill him now." I replied, "My Jehovah God will punish you. A man of war will come and punish you if you kill Abraham, his wife, or me." He retorted, "It's all lies about a man of war. They did not punish the Aromangans. They are afraid of us. Come on, let us kill them." He raised his tomahawk and aimed to strike my forehead. Many muskets were uplifted as if to shoot, so I raised a revolver in my hand and pointed it at them. The Reverend Joseph Copeland had left it with me on a former visit. I did not wish it, but he insisted upon leaving it, saying that the very knowledge that I had such a weapon might save my life. Truly on this occasion it did so. Though it was harmless, they fell back quickly. My immediate assailant dropped to the ground, crying, "Missy has got a short musket. He will shoot you all." After lying flat on the ground for a little, they all got up and ran to the nearest bush, where they continued yelling about and showing their muskets. Towards nightfall they left, loaded with the plunder of the store and of Abraham's house. So God once more graciously protected us from falling into their cruel hands. In the evening, after they left, I went to Miyaki and Nouka. They professed great sorrow at what had taken place, and pretended to have given them a present of food not to do us further injury. But Nowar informed us that, on the contrary, they had hired them to return and kill us next morning, and plunder everything on the mission premises. Miyaki, with a sneer, said, "Missy, where was Jehovah today?" "There was no Jehovah today to protect you. It's all lies about Jehovah. They will come and kill you and Abraham and his wife and cut your bodies into pieces to be cooked and eaten in every village upon Tanna." I said, "Surely, when you had planned all this and brought them to kill us and steal all our property, Jehovah did protect us, or we would not have been here." He replied, "There was no Jehovah today. We have no fear of any man of war. They dare not punish us. They durst not punish the Aromangans for murdering the Gordons. They will talk to us and say we must not do so again and give us a present. That is all. We fear nothing. The talk of all Tana is that we will kill you and seize all your property tomorrow." I warned him that the punishment of a man of war can only reach the body and the land, but that Jehovah's punishment reached both body and soul in time and in eternity. He replied, "Who fears Jehovah? He was not here to protect you today." "Yes," I said, "my Jehovah God is here now. He hears all we say, sees all we do, and will punish the wicked and protect his own people." After this, a number of the people sat down around me, and I prayed with them, but I left with a very heavy heart, feeling that Miyaki was evidently bent on our destruction. I sent Abraham to consult Nowar, who had defended us till disabled by a spear in the right knee. He sent a canoe by Abraham, advising me to take some of my goods in it to his house by night, and he would try to protect them and us. The risk was so great we could only take a very little. Enemies were on every hand to cut off our flight, and Miyaki, the worst of all, whose village had to be passed in going to Nowar's. In the darkness of the mission house we durst not light a candle for fear of someone seeing and shooting us. Not one of Nowar's men durst come to help us. But in the end it made no difference, for Nowar and his men kept what was taken there as their portion of the plunder. Abraham, his wife, and I waited anxiously for the morning light. Miyaki, the false and cruel, came to assure us that the heathen would not return that day. Yet, as daylight came in, Miyaki himself stood and blew a great conch not far from our house. I ran out to see why this trumpet shell had been blown, and found it was a signal for a great company of howling armed savages to rush down the hill on the other side of the bay and make straight for the mission house. We had not a moment to lose. To have remained would have been certain death to us all, and also to Matthew, a teacher just arrived from Mr. Matheson's station. Though I am by conviction a strong Calvinist, I am no fatalist. I held on while one gleam of hope remained. Escape for life was now the only path of duty. I called the teachers, locked the door, and made quickly for Nowar's village. There was not a moment left to carry anything with us. In the issue, Abraham, his wife, and I lost all our earthly goods, and all our clothing except what we had on. My Bible, the few translations which I had made into Tanese, and a light pair of blankets I carried with me. To me the loss was bitter, but as God had so ordered it, I tried to bow with resignation. All my deceased wife's costly outfit, her piano, silver, cutlery, books, etc., with which her dear parents had provided her, besides all that I had in the world. Also a box worth 56 pounds lately arrived, full of men's clothing and medicine, the gift of my dear friends Samuel Wilson, Esquire, and Mrs. Wilson of Geelong. The sandalwood traders bought all the stolen property for tobacco, powder, balls, caps, and shot. One trader gathered together a number of my books in a sadly torn and wasted condition and took them to a Neotium, demanding 10 pounds from Dr. Getty for his trouble. He had to pay him 7 pounds 10 shillings, which I repaid to him on my second return to the islands. This, by way of digression, only to show how white and black heathenism meet together. Let us return to the morning of our flight. We could not take the usual path along the beach, for there our enemies would have quickly overtaken us. We entered the bush in the hope of getting away unobserved, but a cousin of Miyaki, evidently secreted to watch us, sprang from behind a breadfruit tree and swinging his tomahawk, aimed it at my brow with a fiendish look. Avoiding it, I turned upon him and said in a firm, bold voice, "If you dare to strike me, my Jehovah God will punish you. He is here to defend me now." The man, trembling, looked all round as if to see the God who was my defender, and the tomahawk gradually lowered at his side. With my eye fixed upon him, I gradually moved backwards in the track of the teachers, and God mercifully restrained him from following me. On reaching Nowar's village unobserved, we found the people terror-stricken, crying, rushing about in despair at such a host of armed savages approaching. I urged them to ply their axes, cut down trees, and blockade the path. For a little they wrought vigorously at this, but when, so far as I could see, they saw the shore covered with armed men rushing on towards their village, they were overwhelmed with fear. They threw away their axes and weapons of war. They cast themselves headlong on the ground, and they knocked themselves against the trees as if to court death before it came. They cried, "Missy, it's of no use. We will all be killed and eaten today. See what a host are coming against us." Mothers snatched up little children and ran to hide in the bush. Others waded as far as they could into the sea with them, holding their heads above the water. The whole village collapsed in a condition of indescribable terror. Nowar, lame with his wounded knee, got a canoe turned upside down and sat upon it where he could see the whole approaching multitude. He said, "Missy, sit down beside me and pray to our Jehovah God, for if he does not send deliverance now, we are all dead men. They will kill us all on your account, and that quickly. Pray, and I will watch." They had gone to the mission house and broken in the door. And finding that we had escaped, they rushed on to No War's village, for as they began to plunder the bedroom, Nouka said, "Leave everything. Missy will come back for his valuable things at night, and then we will get them, and him also." So he nailed up the door, and they all marched for No War's. We prayed as one can only pray when in the jaws of death and on the brink of eternity. We felt that God was near and omnipotent to do what seemed best in his sight. When the savages were about 300 yards off at the foot of a hill leading up to the village, No War touched my knee, saying, "Missy, Jehovah is hearing. They are all standing still." Had they come on, they would have met with no opposition, for the people were scattered in terror. On gazing shorewards and round the harbor as far as we could see was a dense host of warriors, but all were standing still, and apparently absolute silence prevailed. We saw a messenger or herald running along the approaching multitude, delivering some tidings as he passed, and then disappearing in the bush. To our amazement, the host began to turn and slowly marched back in great silence, and entered the remote bush at the head of the harbor. No War and his people were in ecstasies, crying out, "Jehovah has heard Missy's prayer. Jehovah has protected us and turned them away back." We were on that day his trusting and defenseless children. Would you not, had you been one of our circle, have joined with us in praising the Lord God for deliverance from the jaws of death? I know not why they turned back, but I have no doubt it was the doing of God to save our lives. We learned that they all assembled in a cleared part of the bush, and there held a great wrangling palaver. Nouka and Miyaki advised them first to fight Manuman and his people. They said, "His brother, the sacred man Kanini, killed Ian by Nahak. He is a friend of Missy and of the worship. He also sent the hurricane to destroy us. They have plenty of yams and pigs. Let us fight and plunder them, and when they are out of the way we will be strong to destroy Missy and the worship." On this the whole mass went and attacked Manuman's first village, where they murdered 2 of his men, 2 women, and 2 children. The inhabitants fled, and all the sick, the feeble, and the children who fell into their hands were reported to us to be murdered, cooked, and eaten. Led on by Miyaki, they plundered and burned 7 villages. About midday, Nouka and Miyaki sent their cousin Jonas, who had always been friendly to me, to say that I might return to my house in safety, as they were now carrying the war inland. Jonas had spent some years on Samoa, and had been with traders in Sydney, and spoke English well, but we felt they were deceiving us. That night Abraham ventured to creep near the mission house, to test whether we might return, and save some valuable things and get a change of clothing. The house appeared to stand as when they nailed up the door, but a large party of Miyaki's allies at once enclosed Abraham, and, after asking many questions about me, they let him go since I was not there. Had I gone there, they would certainly that night have killed me. Again at midnight, Abraham and his wife and Matthew went to the mission house, and found Nouka, Miyaki, and Kadewik nearby, concealed in the bush among the reeds. Once more they enclosed them, thinking I was there too, but Nouka, finding that I was not, cried out, "Don't kill them just now. Wait till Missy comes." Hearing this, Matthew slipped into the bush and escaped. Abraham's wife waded into the sea, and they allowed her to get away. Abraham was allowed to go to the mission house, but he too crept into the bush, and after an anxious waiting they all came back to me in safety. We now gave up all hope of recovering anything from the house. Towards morning, when Miyaki and his men saw that I was not coming back to deliver myself into their hands, they broke up my house and stole all they could carry away. They tore my books and scattered them about. They took away the type of my printing press to be made into bullets for their muskets. For similar uses they melted down the zinc lining of my boxes and everything else that could be melted. What they could not take away they destroyed. I lay on the ground all night, concealed in an outhouse of No War's, but it was a sleepless and anxious night, not only to me and my Aniatiames, but also to No War and his people. End of section 15, read by Alethea Karras.